A scattered dream that's like a far-off memory. A far-off memory that's like a scattered dream. I want to line the pieces up. Yours and mine. May my heart be my guiding key.
Strength to protect what matters.
They can take your world, they can take your heart, cut you loose from all you know. But if it's your fate, then every step forward will always be a step closer to home.
As I sit here staring at the blank page, going through my voice exercises for this inevitably long recording session, dreading the thought of what this Final Cut Pro timeline is going to look like, I find myself struggling to convey my complicated feelings on Kingdom Hearts 3. And I mean, can you blame me? What more needs to be said about this specific game that hasn't been said already? Everyone has something to say about Kingdom Hearts 3. For some, it's the pinnacle of the franchise, and for others, it's a low that may set an uncomfortable standard for the series going forward. As you can probably tell from the title of this video, I don't exactly like Kingdom Hearts 3. Actually, no. I really don't like Kingdom Hearts 3. Now, I know when you hear that you may think, oh look, another KH3 hater, so tied to nostalgia. What do you mean the combat's bad? What were you expecting from the kids game that had you team up with Donald and Goofy? I don't know what I was expecting actually. How could I when I had to wait 13 years for this game to release? And sure, we weren't exactly starved for Kingdom Hearts content during that 13-year wait either, but let's be real. We all know what we wanted after that ending in Kingdom Hearts 2. Yeah, the games that released after KH2 were great, but releasing on different consoles, moving the overarching narrative at a snail's pace, and constantly adding pressure to a game that didn't even exist, it was cheating to say the least. In some ways, you could say the build-up is fitting. After all, Master Xehanort has been carefully planning each and every move since day one, even if we didn't realize it. It may be fitting to have to wait so long to see the conclusion of this master plan, but then you actually see the conclusion and you're like, spoilers. Because if I wish to talk about Kingdom Hearts 3, I must first discuss Kingdom Hearts, the series as a whole, I guess.
I've been having these weird thoughts lately. Like, is any of this for real or not?
As someone once said, it all started in an elevator. The initial conception of Kingdom Hearts has to be one of the most fascinating stories our industry has to tell. What started as a collaboration between Square and Disney to create an RPG focused around a Mickey Mouse, it wasn't until a certain developer known for creating gorgeous character art stepped in. Yeah, you know the guy. Tetsuya Nomura, one of the most polarizing game developers we have ever seen, stepped in to say that while he did want to create an RPG that featured Disney characters and stories, he wanted the game to focus around an original character of his own design in an original world. Discussions go back and forth, and boom! Eventually, this weird collaboration between Disney and Square Enix comes together to form simultaneously the weirdest crossover in gaming, as well as one of the coolest. Now, it should be said, your mileage on this franchise is going to heavily depend on your attachment to either one of these sides. Like, you can't just be someone who doesn't like either Final Fantasy or Disney and come into this expecting to get anything, in my humble opinion. And I think you know where I stand. I've said it time and time again. Final Fantasy. Man, what a franchise. Listen, I've played quite a number of games by this point, and I can say with confidence, no series lives more rent-free in my head like Final Fantasy. From being robbed of playing Final Fantasy VII as a child, to playing Final Fantasy 15 in 2016 wondering why the hell Noctis controls like this, to playing Final Fantasy 16, a game that personally stands as my all-time favorite. Man, even Final Fantasy VII Remake. Look, I don't even like this game, but even I can't deny. This game pretty though. This series, these worlds, these characters, all have had some kind of impact on me. Whether it was a positive impact or a negative one is irrelevant. The fact it had an impact is what matters. So yeah, I really like Final Fantasy. When it hits, there is nothing like it, let me tell ya. Like, inject all of this scene right here into my veins. Peak fiction, dude, I swear. And Disney? Come on, man. I'm a 90s kid. Of course I love Disney. Yeah, terrible company, MCU trash, whatever. But these films were so pivotal to my development growing up. Full disclaimer, and I know my mom watching is going to hate this, but I was not exactly a good kid by definition growing up. Not exactly a delinquent, but definitely on the annoying side to be quite frank. As a young, impressionable child, Disney's characters were able to captivate me in a way other media just couldn't. Considering the era I grew up in, it wasn't that difficult. Now take both of these elements, Final Fantasy, the series taken away from me by a grumpy KB Toys employee, and Disney, a company that in a way raised me. Oh yeah, buddy, you got something special. I will never forget playing Kingdom Hearts 1 in 2002. I had no idea what I was doing most of the time, but just being able to run in this world was exciting enough for me. It was a very formative experience. It felt like I had graduated in a sense. Like, oh, I don't just hit my enemy. This is combat. These aren't just characters talking. This is a story. I was like 8 years old. Give me a break. Kingdom Hearts 2 though. Oh man, when I say this might be one of my favorite games of all time, I mean that. Even then, I might still be selling it short. See, Kingdom Hearts 2 came out in 2006. I was 12 at the time. I was starting to phase out from the kiddie Buzz Lightyear stuff I was into as a kid. I was into GTA and Halo, man. You know, I was real hardcore. So when I saw that trailer for KH2, you already know I was in there. I was locked in. So locked in. But again, it was not meant to be. Again, I wasn't the best child growing up. Remember that little system I had with my mom where if I got good grades, I'd get a new game? Well, I effed up. I wanted KH2, but my grades didn't seem to agree. So I waited and waited and waited until 2008, traveling abroad with my family back home in a sense, reuniting with a friend I hadn't seen in 2 years, and upon this reunion, the stars had aligned. Yo man, wanna play some KH2? Is the first thing he asked me. Not how you doing, not how's school, nothing. He asked me if I wanted to play a video game, and buddy, I was in. That experience of playing KH2 at this time was euphoric. There is nothing quite like sharing one of your favorite games in your favorite series with one of your best friends at the time. It's got me reminiscing. I haven't spoken to that friend in a long time. Maybe I should reach out and see how he's doing. Sorry, I'm rambling. I just wanted to take a second and highlight why this series is so well regarded. Nah, you know what? I just wanted to explain why I love this series so much. Sure, I love some of the non-numbered games too, but the experiences tied to KH1 and 2 are just unrivaled. I don't often remember stuff from my childhood, so for me to have these memories seared into my brain for so long, I believe speaks for itself. Kingdom Hearts means a lot to me, as it does a lot of people. And to open up a bit here, I am terrified of putting my thoughts out there when it comes to KH3. It's not even about getting hate from other people. It's honestly just a me thing. You never get a chance to talk about something again for the first time. And if I am going to put my thoughts out there, I want to make sure what I say is genuine to me. So as Kingdom Hearts 3 celebrates its 5th anniversary this year, I don't think I can wait any longer. I have a lot to say. Some of you may care, some of you may not. But what I wish to convey today is how Kingdom Hearts 3 refused its fate.
Have you heard of the ancient Keyblade War? Huh? Of course I have. Long ago, Keyblade wielders waged a war over the ownership of light.
Oh, this is cool. Young Ericus and Xehanort playing a game of chess as they both exposit for a bit on the events to come. Man, from the jump, there's this raw energy in this scene. Sure, nothing visually insane happening here, but to open up in this melancholic fashion perfectly encapsulates the weight that comes with the title, Kingdom Hearts III.
Your Mark of Mastery exam was conducted in the hopes you would acquire the power to wake them. However, the darkness nearly took control of you, and your grasp of your new abilities leaves much to be desired.
Did Sora really just get roasted that badly? Really? Okay, concentrate, lock in. So Master Yen Sid politely tells Sora that he still lacks the power of waking, and to get it, he should start by asking Hercules and Olympus. Seriously? I mean, KH1 had the Destiny Islands, KH2 had Twilight Town. What am I saying? This is Kingdom Hearts 3. I can't tie myself down to preconceived notions I may have. Let's give this adventure a proper start. Off to Olympus! In this prologue titled Kingdom Hearts 2.9, we finally get our first taste of what this game has to offer. I know I just ribbed on coming to Olympus, but I have to admit, it does a great job showcasing just how far we've come. In KH1, Olympus was just the Colosseum. In KH2, you got to explore the underworld, sure, but this scale, this room to breathe that just wasn't present in the other games. This imagery is exactly what I imagined watching those trailers back in 2013. And man, something often neglected in other KH3 videos, I feel, it's just how good Sora feels to move in this game. He's just so much lighter, faster as he explores, and having fully mastered flow motion, running on walls like he's a character in Naruto is no longer just a dream. You can actually just do it now. This level of freedom that just hasn't been present in any other KH game, numbered or otherwise, it makes that first conversation with Yen Sid all the weirder if I'm being honest. Oh shit, it's time for combat. I'm really excited to see how they've expanded the combat from KH2. Wait. No. Sora? You know, at some point, you have to come down. No? Okay. Now, I know I've talked about this before, but please, allow me to finally discuss this properly for a change. Kingdom Hearts 3's combat is not very good. Like, at all. From as early as the Dark Side boss, something just feels off. And it's down to one major problem. Sora lives in the air in this game. If you're targeting an airborne enemy, or if you launch an enemy in the air, kiss the ground goodbye because you won't be seeing it until that enemy is dead. Even if an enemy is like super far away, Sora will just track them down like a lion hunts a gazelle. He just won't fall as long as you keep hitting the attack command. What this does is make almost every single combat scenario feel the same regardless of enemy type. You could be fighting a normal ass Heartless or like one of the end game bosses. They all go down in the same manner. No uniqueness whatsoever. None. And that's not even mentioning the fact that this game isn't very challenging to begin with. When deciding to talk about KH3, I went back and played KH1 and KH2 so I can make comparisons when appropriate. And it's in combat where the differences are rather apparent. With KH1, I'm not going to say it had the perfect combat mechanics, but there was this sense of growth as you went through the adventure. Like, look at me versus Riku at level 1 versus him at the end of the game. Not only have the stakes risen, but so have my skills. Pretty boy here doesn't stand a chance. In KH2, there was a noticeable rise in technique when you took control of Sora for the first time. Rather than having the sense of growth in terms of strength, there was this odd sensation of wanting to learn every mechanic to defeat your enemies with as much swagger as you can muster. Like, sure, I could play like this, but this way is just more fun. And it ties into reaction commands, the main gimmick of Kingdom Hearts 2, seamlessly. Like, I'm playing these games on PC, so I have the uber duper final mix versions here with HD graphics, but remember, this and KH2 KH1 are PS2 games, the amount Nomura was able to squeeze out of this console should be studied. That knowledge cannot be lost. Look at this shot and tell me you don't feel something. I just won't believe you. You aren't human if you can't feel the raw energy of Sora cutting through skyscrapers like it's nothing. And like, I guess it's kind of cool to see Sora just absolutely eviscerate even the smallest of Heartless, but it's just not the same. I felt like I had to earn the right to feel like the Keyblade Master in the other games, but here, I just kinda decimate everything in my path. Yeah, I played all these games on standard mode, so maybe it's on me to up the difficulty if I want a harder challenge, except I didn't need to play KH1 or KH2 on a higher difficulty than standard for a sufficient challenge. Sure, I wasn't sweating the entire time, but I also didn't feel like I had to turn my brain off either. Just look at this! Does it look like I'm struggling here? Like this is just the first world where these games tend to be the hardest in my opinion, where your options are supposed to be limited. And that's exactly the point. I find myself shocked to be saying these words, but Kingdom Hearts 3 gives you too many options. Like way too many. Stop. Stop it! It's one thing where you can equip different skills in a sub-menu or something similar. That way I can freely choose which moves I think will fit my playstyle. But at least in KH1 and KH2, the skills themselves were nuanced enough to use them in a multitude of different ways. Someone may use a skill way differently than I do. But in KH3, nah dude, this is way too much. On top of the skills you can equip in the menu, every single Keyblade has their own unique transformation that essentially powers up Sora to a higher level. I can't deny these form changes are really cool. It evokes everything you'd want the KH3 experience to feel like. Using the drive forms in Kingdom Hearts 2 was always so fucking sick, man. As soon as you hit the drive button, you knew things were about to get spicy. And in concept, these form changes feel like a natural progression. But the problem with every single Keyblade having a form change lies in its depth. With 19 different Keyblades to obtain and 19 different form changes, how could there be any depth? Second form on the elemental encoder is never going to get any better regardless of how much I level it up. So instead of having to quickly strategize on the fly, deciding which form I need to use for that given scenario, now I just change into second form every time it pops up and deal slightly more damage than I was previously. Like, I already don't touch the ground as soon as my feet leave it. Now I have all these pop-ups intruding my space and they'll sit there until I click on them and like, from the first world, Sora already is essentially in Keyblade Master Mode. I'm sorry, I just can't buy that. The tonal dissonance between combat and story is shocking. Sora got absolutely roasted for not having the power of waking, and for apparently losing all the strength he accrued up to this point. But in combat, he's like fucking Goku zipping around not having a care in the world. I go Kaioken and unleash a massive Ki Blast to end nearly every fight. In what way is Sora lacking strength here? Shit, what's the point of even going to these Disney worlds? Let's go fight Xehanort right now. I think what bothers me the most though is how you earn all these obtrusive menu options. If you want to power Sora up, all you need to do is deal damage. By simply dealing damage, you will earn the right to make every combat scenario essentially meaningless. Does that sound right? Wouldn't it be better if I gained these cool form changes for playing the game well? Like, remember when you'd be punished for playing poorly with Rage form? Now, that's just a menu pop-up like everything else. Like, what? What is the point of that? It's like the fucking attractions. Why the hell would you willingly choose to make the combat even worse? That's what I mean by there's too many options. These things just pop up. They'll always grab your attention, and like all this does is make me want to use the ability less. I know it's in an unconventional way, but Kingdom Hearts is a real-time action game. Seeing as we're working with a menu, I think just adding an option for these there would suffice. It would let me choose when I'd want to use them rather than playing the slot machine minigame we have now. Plus, it'd make them more meaningful. Using these form changes should feel like a reward for learning to master the combat system. But as they are, they feel like a shoehorned gimmick in a game filled with shoehorned gimmicks. I don't care for it. And is it just me, or is it a coincidence that KH3's combat feels so half-baked when it released only 3 years after Final Fantasy 15? Just want you to sit on that for a while. I kinda went on a tangent there. I think we should get back to the story now. So Sora, Donald, and Goofy go to Olympus to ask Herc how he got his strength back after he looked a little down in the dumps in KH2, which again, Sora isn't really lacking in strength here, holy shit! So you essentially go through Olympus and finish the story from the movie, but like there's these moments that are forced in to remind you that, hey, you're playing a Kingdom Hearts game. Like this scene with Pete and Maleficent here. They show up, tell us they need a black box, roast Sora for a bit, and then they just bounce. That's it. They will continue to show up from time to time, offering nothing of importance to the end of the Keyblade War. That's all I really got for Olympus. I guess it's kinda cool you fight all 3 titans from the movie, one of them being a super boss from KH1 all at the same time, but I think it's here where I realize why the combat is the way it is, and exactly why I don't like it. But let me save that for now. Oh, we're finally going to see what Mickey and Riku are doing. Ah, yeah, they're going to save Aqua now that Riku is a certified Keyblade master now. Shit, look at how good the Realm of Darkness looks. Man, seeing this place in HD is just damn.
What's wrong, Riku? Are you tired? Do you need a break? We can stop.
No, just... I've been here. I should know this place. But that all seems like another life.
Alright, can we...
Yeah. While we're reminiscing, Mickey, does any of this look familiar?
Sort of. But the Realm of Darkness has changed since I was here with Aqua.
Can we speed this?
I'm positive Aqua was here. But now, her trail's gone dim.
I've been here too. With Sora.
Can we go a little... Nope. I see. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to nitpick every little thing, but these cutscenes are just so slow. It takes an eternity for characters to say anything. There's this awkward pause where it feels like things have to reset or something before the next line can proceed. Mickey can't multitask. He has to slowly turn around, shake his head, and then say his line. And he even takes a pause in between his own lines, like, huh? I can appreciate the imagery on display here since it looks so good, but can we move this along? I'd like to play the rest of the game now.
Riku? Wake up! Riku! Are you okay?
How in the... Okay, Yensid's tower. Again, Sora gets roasted some more, catches up with Riku and Mickey, even though nothing really happened in the Realm of Darkness. Sora gets some new swag, and boom, we're in Twilight Town. Unfortunately, nothing's really going on in Twilight Town either. In KH2, Twilight Town was like a safe haven for me. Even if it didn't feel like there was a lot going on, you could take on odd jobs, go fight Cypher from Final Fantasy VIII. It was sick as hell. Here, Twilight Town feels kinda hollow. Sure, a lot more NPCs going around, and wow, does it look pretty, but I don't know, it just feels kinda off. Sora and the gang are in Twilight Town because Sora wants to follow Roxas's heart, I guess? Like, even the game doesn't know why we're here. One thing I can't ignore, though, is the dangerous precedent that Twilight Town sets when it comes to KH3's writing. Oh boy. So Sora runs into Ansem and Xemnas, and they tell him, "You cannot bring Roxas back. He was never meant to exist. Blah!" And then Donald and Goofy reassure Sora that he can do anything he wants by believing he can do it. Just set your mind to it and you can achieve anything you want, son. This sounds like it was written by a 6-year-old. Look, I'm not gonna sit here and say that Kingdom Hearts writing was always mature or this deep meta that no one could understand, but holy shit, I never felt like I was being treated as a child as I frolicked through Wonderland trying to clear Alice's name. It felt real, like there was real weight to it. Here, I have the final bosses from the previous 2 games standing here, and I can't help but hold in a chuckle when the solution is just believing in yourself. Kingdom Hearts, at least to me, was always an allegory on the idea of growing up, youth representing the light, and adulthood representing darkness. I'm aware this isn't new information, it's just that that sense of growing up felt like it was in tandem with my own life, as I mentioned earlier. As the games tackled darker themes, I too was more receptive to seeing these characters overcome the struggle. So, again, when the solution is something I'd expect a parent to tell their little kid when they say, "Mommy, Mommy, I want to be an astronaut when I I grow up? I can't exactly suspend my disbelief. I get it. Disney, it's for kids, whatever. But this dialogue does nothing in getting rid of the stigma KH suffers when it comes to its perception from outside audiences. If I had no idea what Kingdom Hearts was and I saw this, I'd probably bust a gut laughing. But I digress. Unfortunately, I must agree with most other content creators who say that Twilight Town was definitely added so those fancy E3 demo assets didn't go to waste. And speaking of waste, let's not waste any more time and head into our first Disney World. Okay, this is where things get good. No matter how bad things are, no matter how bad it's gonna get, nothing can take this away from me. Allow me to take a minute to gush here. Toy Box is 100% my favorite world in the game. That's not exactly a high bar to clear, but dude, come on. How long have we waited for Toy Story to come to Kingdom Hearts? When showcasing the game in trailers, Toy Box in particular was a huge highlight. Yeah, they knew exactly what they were doing. And it just starts so perfectly. Sora, Donald, and Goofy wake up in Andy's house. Andy's house! Man, I've watched Toy Story so many times, this might as well be my place. This is when the scale of Kingdom Hearts 3 is at its finest. Being able to parkour wherever you want, just jumping around looking in every corner. This is what Kingdom Hearts is all about. This perfect melding of both Disney and Square Enix. I've said this before and I'll continue saying it till the day I die. This collaboration, this concept, it's silly, very silly. And yet here I am, watching Buzz Lightyear and Woody perfectly coexist with Sora. I don't have the word for it exactly, but you feel it, right? It just has the sauce. It may not always be consistent, but when this game looks good, it looks fucking good. You know what I'm saying? The way this series is able to capture your imagination, the way it's able to make it feel like you're not just watching a Disney movie, but feel like you're in it is just different. And man, to finally have Pixar and Kingdom Hearts, like what better way to flex the technology of the time than to essentially give everything that Pixar feel, you know? And I have to admit, it's awesome that you no longer have to compromise on your party members. Everyone's in on the fun now. The fact that Woody and Buzz can just join the squad, this is what a fever dream feels like in a good way. I could gush all day, but unfortunately, as much as I like Toy Box, there are a few problems. And these problems set a dangerous precedent going forward. So you get to Galaxy Toys, and almost immediately you meet up with young Xehanort, and he instantly spawns Heartless and says,
The way hearts connect in this world can provide us with a clue. So we made a copy of the world, and then pulled those hearts apart.
Sounds a bit extra, but sure, go off, King. And here's where things really nosedive. World exclusive gimmicks. Now, to be fair to KH3, none of this is new to the series. These exclusive gimmicks have been around since day one. But the thing is, these were always the worst parts of the games. Sure, I might sound a little harsh, but be honest. Who cares for Atlantica or the Pride Lands in the previous games? Nobody. It's novel in concept, but in practice, I'd rather be doing something else. Like, literally anything else. In KH1 and 2, these gimmicks wouldn't cause anything more than a headache because everything was significantly smaller. Playing as Mermaid Sora sucks, but I'm only doing it for like 20 to 30 minutes. Here though, I'm just hopping from mech to mech, going into this dumb first-person perspective and this isn't Kingdom Hearts. I can forgive things like the attractions because as much as it sucks to do it, you can avoid using them. It's very annoying and I should be able to turn them off, but I don't need to use them. But this? Nah, I'm just doing way more damage to myself by not using these. I deal less damage when I'm not in one of these mechs. It takes significantly longer and it's cool to make every level feel unique from one another. I mean, we're not just going to these everyday fantasy worlds. We're visiting places from our childhood, films we grew up with, worlds we have this childlike admiration for, even for someone as old as me. And you listen to Nomura talk about how much he and the team thought about everything regarding these Disney worlds. In a vacuum, I have to appreciate it, but when it's this egregious, when it feels like padding this early in the game, I get this odd, uncomfortable feeling in my stomach. So you go through the world, it's fine and dandy or whatever, gotta save the friends from Toy Story, then you get to the final boss of this world, and here's where that uncomfortable feeling turns into a mild pain. I mentioned it briefly earlier, but it was in this boss fight where I came to a realization that really accentuated accentuates all the issues with combat in KH3. I think our man Yoshi P put it best. When he was asked about adding more playable characters to Final Fantasy XVI, he explained that the entire combat was designed around Clive. Every enemy, every interaction, every meaningful split-second decision has Clive's moveset and animations in mind. Nothing works if Clive can't work, if that makes any sense. And the thing is, this is how it felt for Sora in the other games. It felt like every enemy interaction had meaning. Every combat scenario had weight to it. It felt like every input mattered. Now though, Sora's combat has to accommodate all these enormous enemies. It was made pretty apparent in Olympus, the issue with not falling down, feeling like you're already a Keyblade master. All those issues stem from these massive battles. This isn't anything new to Kingdom Hearts, sure, but when it's taken to this degree, it highlights the problems even further. Everything is designed with these monstrous beings in mind, so the entire combat has to make up for that, and I really dislike this. The fights between a regular onslaught of Heartless and say Darkseid weren't ever set on the same scale of challenge. When an enemy was much bigger than you had to find another way to bring them down. You couldn't just rely on your normal strategy. The rules have changed, and to stay in the fight, you'll have to as well. But here, everything is of equal value. Every combat interaction is the same. Do you see the issue? There's no variety, which in turn adds no stakes to the fight. If I'm just gonna take everything on the same way I normally would, I have to question the intent here. And this is the case for every single Disney world in the game. That doesn't sit well with me, like at all. For as much credit as I want to give Nomura and the team for really bringing these Pixar movies to life, I don't think I can when every final boss interaction ends with, "Massive Heartless, oh my god, look how big it is." This is all on top of the fact that there's just no Disney villain here. Like it would have been sick as hell to fight Zurg or Stinky Pete or something. Like shit, Xehanort corrupts Buzz with darkness in this world. Just make him the big bad of the level. I know I'm coming off a bit harsh here. Again, this is my favorite world. I just think as the first new Disney world here, we could have done with more. Like Andy's house is really cool. It's big, the rendition of You've Got a Friend in Me is absolutely slapping, and after finally dealing with these small, dingy, linear labyrinths for so long, it really feels like we've come full circle having this giant playground to explore. It's just, there's not much going on. You really do go place to place, fight Heartless, and watch cutscenes. Really boring cutscenes at that. And I don't know, I might just be an asshole here, but is it just me or is Sora kinda annoying this time around?
Oh my gosh, have we been shrunk? And look at us!
I'm sure that's nothing. Pretty solid start if I'm being honest. I really liked Toy Box. All my criticisms aside, like I'm never gonna forget Woody absolutely demolishing Xehanort. Fucking Xehanort with the best bar this game has to offer. In terms of plot, Sora still doesn't find the power of waking. Xehanort is here for some reason, and he tells Sora to find the hearts joined to his. Pretty on the nose there. So after Toy Box, Sora and the crew call Mickey and Riku to ask about putting Roxas's heart in a replica. Riku gives the whole spiel again. Like I know Sora forgot about how this process works, but this isn't new information to the player. It's like I'm watching a cutscene play out from one of the older games, but it's even worse now when it's presented in this slow, mundane fashion. Okay, time for the next world. Oh boy. So here's where Kingdom Hearts 3 decides to take a drastic shift when it comes to how it handles its Disney worlds. This has been the case since the beginning. In KH1 and 2, the worlds had two forms of integrating both of these companies. You either went through the entirety or just a small portion of the film's world you were in. Some things would change to accommodate for the anime and generic Disney characters present, but it was never anything that made things feel out of place. It was seamless. Sora, Donald, and Goofy could all integrate into any of these storylines, even if their roles were minor. So when I go to, say, Agrabah in Kingdom Hearts 1, hear Aladdin call Sora his friend, and come back in Kingdom Hearts 2 to see these guys haven't lost a step, it just brings such joy to my heart to see such uniformity. Then you have the other cases where the Disney worlds would tell an original story with these Square Enix characters, like returning to the Land of Dragons in Kingdom Hearts 2. Coming back a second time, there was no movie to adapt. We defeated Shan Yu, so instead Nomura and the other writers came up with an original, pretty pretty rad concept for us to return to. It was kind of basic, and it's not this monumental storytelling achievement, but it was unique and had quite a bit of charm. I bring all of this up because the Kingdom of Corona decides to follow the original film of Tangled, nearly shot for shot. I guess I can appreciate this in a sense because in this case I haven't watched the movie here, but when the movie, for a lack of a better term, has been KHIIIified in terms of the pacing, I start to remember why I never watched Tangled. It was fine in Toy Box because you were exploring a whole new storyline that featured the characters of Kingdom Hearts and Toy Story. It wasn't very good, sure, but I had no idea what to expect. I was constantly wondering what was going to happen next, and the integration of both of these franchises came together pretty well. Here, it's again like I'm watching a movie I haven't seen, except Sora's in the background here. Oh look, there's Goofy, haha, look at how well we can put this anime video game in these Disney worlds. Look, I'm not trying to come off like that guy or anything. If you like this world, good on you. That's super cool. But holy shit, you really are going around smelling the flowers, interacting with nature and shit. It's so boring. Sure, you are fighting Heartless and nobodies. Marluxia from Organization 13 is here for some reason. I'm beginning to sense a pattern. So Marluxia's here and he says something about not wanting to disrupt the balance between light and dark, kinda contradicting his entire character before this, but fine. And he tells Sora to use the Keyblade to protect Rapunzel, something we have been doing the entire level. Okay. Sorry, I got a little distracted there. The plot of Kingdom Hearts 3 was intruding on the film of Tangled. The audacity, my lord. Oh my god, we made it to the kingdom. Time to party, baby. Let's go. This is real. This is how you're spending roughly 10 minutes of the 20-hour-long finale of Kingdom Hearts 3.
This is so fun!
Is it Rapunzel? I don't know if that is the exact word I'd use personally, but do you, girl? So the movie plays out, Mother Gothel yeets herself off the tower, and then Marluxia just transforms her into a giant Heartless, as if we're checking off a box on a checklist or something. What ensues is a truly awful boss fight where the enemy will transition from the ground, but not really because you magnetize to its head anyways, in this phase where you have to like dodge these fences and climb the tower. It's just, there's no challenge here. I'm just running back and forth from each spot to deal damage. There's no puzzle. It's just making the fight drag out longer than it needs to, not even accounting for how much health this boss has. That's really all I got on this world. Like I said at the beginning, this really is just the movie Tangled that just happens to have Sora, Donald, and Goofy in it. It's shallow, and it screams like there was a lack of creativity when deciding how to integrate Tangled into the Kingdom Hearts mythos. I don't like it. Next world. You know, I really like Monsters, Inc. Another Dream Pixar IP making its way into one of my favorite series. And like, look at how good everything looks. The factory, Mike, Sully, and Boo. Shit, even Sora and the gang had these awesome designs. They fit in perfectly in the world of Monsters Incorporated. Again, this is what we were expecting when this game was being teased. This jump to almost one-to-one realizations in terms of the aesthetic for the Disney worlds is something I can't help but admire. And shit, you're even fighting the unversed in this game, playing off the negative emotion of screen power present from the film. But the best part? We get an original story! Yes, Monstropolis takes place after the plot of the film, so we won't be ruining the integrity of one of my favorite movies. Thank God. Although it's here where I need to point attention to the lack of direction when it comes to the narrative of Kingdom Hearts 3. This is the third world in a row where Sora doesn't seem any closer to getting the power of waking, even though he's really giving it his all to believe. I have to wonder, what exactly are we doing in these Disney worlds? Monstropolis has a lot to offer, sure, but something's missing. I'm not getting that feeling, you know what I'm saying? And then it hit me, and my perception of this crossover was flipped right on its head. I want to take you back to Kingdom Hearts 1 for a second. In that game, I couldn't help but feel like we were exploring these Disney worlds as a way to fill a quota. But that was Kingdom Hearts 1, back on the PlayStation 2. I can forgive a first attempt at something, particularly when it nailed most of what it was going for. And at the very least, there was always a reason to go to these Disney worlds. In Kingdom Hearts 1, you're doing this so you can look for Kairi and Riku Riku. Sure, you followed the plot of the movie most times, but Sora and the gang always had their own agenda. It enhanced the purpose for being in said Disney worlds. I wasn't just going to Deep Jungle to hang with Tarzan. I was looking for my friends, and I just so happened to run into the characters of the jungle. It was never any deeper than that. In Kingdom Hearts 2, the stakes were much more real. Looking for a way into the realm of darkness, stopping the MCP from corrupting the Radiant Guardians. Like, there was actual tension when going into these Disney worlds, and the overall narrative was all the better for it. In KH3, there's no direction, no reason for being here besides Sora searching for the power of waking. It comes off like we're filling a quota even more so than in Kingdom Hearts 1. For a game that's advertised as the end of the Keyblade War, the end of a saga that spanned 20 years, I can't help but feel detached from my nostalgia for Monsters Inc. as I run through what are essentially HD forms of KH2 levels. I'm not one to complain about linear hallways in my Kingdom Hearts games. I prefer the more basic level design because for me, these games have always been about the combat first and foremost in terms of gameplay. Like, I think I failed enough platforming challenges in KH1 to never want to attempt these ever again. But here, it could just do with a little more oomph to it, if that makes any sense. Like, we're not just in Disney worlds, this is Pixar. Flex a little. Show off your swagger. Sora has literally never felt better to move in these games. Take advantage of that. That's the thing about KH3. We finally have all this space, all this freedom, but Christ, there's like nothing to do. Everything feels the fucking same. Go here, fight enemy, do stupid world gimmick for a few minutes, then you go fight the boss and move on. Toss in an organization cameo from Vanitas here to fill the quota, and boom, we can go home. Like, there's this raw, untapped potential just begging, screaming to be let loose, yet for some reason or another, it's being held back, like as if just having these characters interact is enough. Guess what? It isn't. I loved visiting worlds like the Pride Lands because Simba and Sora feel like they have this connection, this friendship that can go beyond worlds. Nothing can set them apart as long as they have each other in their hearts. Sure, it was corny, but it fit the themes of this crossover very well. I know I keep sounding like I want KH3's Disney worlds to be like the old games, but really, it isn't about that. I just want Kingdom Hearts 3 to forge its own identity when it comes to the crossover aspect of it all. But as it stands, it's nothing more than an imitation of what KH1 was trying to do, and a cheap imitation at that. I'm still coming to the terms of saying all that out loud, but again, I digress. So again, nothing really happening in Monstropolis. I can appreciate the window dressing as much as I want, but without that substance, that feeling of being in a Disney world, beyond just the shock value of it all, I don't feel the need to say much. Vanitas and Sora coming face to face should feel like a big moment, right? Vanitas, for me personally, has always been one of my favorite characters in these games, but it just doesn't because they just stand there and talk to each other really slowly. Like, Vanitas is here to just use Randall to collect negative emotions. What are these negative emotions for? Do they tie into what the other organization members wanted in the other Disney worlds? I don't know. This isn't the worst place. I can at least have fun running around beating Unversed with Sully and Mike, but I just need more. Again, no original Disney villain. Randall is right there, talking shit to all of us. If we could just... nope. Toss him into a door like how the movie ends. Woohoo! After this, Sora decides he wants to go to the realm of darkness, but once again is reminded of the fact that he, of course, does not have the power of waking. I have to seriously ask what the point of these cutscenes are. Like, do we have to show Sora having this desire to help his friends in this in-your-face manner? Was my friends are my power not enough? Like, I kind of get the point, you know? And like, then you get a call from Ienzo to remind us that, hey, Sora is feeling all these things because his heart holds both Roxas and Ventus's heart as well as his. Again, as if we didn't already know that, it starts to get grating. Okay, well, Monstropolis kinda sucked, but there's still a few more to get through. I'm sure the rest of them aren't nearly as bad. Ladies and gentlemen, vessels of light and dark all around. Here is where we enter the true abyss of Kingdom Hearts 3. This is where things get really bad. Frozen is like the biggest movie ever. It doesn't even feel like a film franchise. It's more of a movement. But even I know how significant the series is. Pairing the biggest Disney franchise ever with Kingdom Hearts sounds like a match made in heaven, right? Not really. The first problem comes up as soon as you run into Elsa for the first time. Similar to the Kingdom of Corona, we're following the movie plot again. I can't speak to the actual story of Frozen itself, but I can offer something on this take on the Frozen story. Okay, I don't know how else to put this, but Arendelle is where I think most of the stigma against Kingdom Hearts as a series comes from. People look at this series, think it's silly that anyone over the age of like 12 would play these games, and it's because of worlds like Arendelle people have these preconceived thoughts. Like, it's not even done gracefully this time. The big moment of Frozen, where Elsa comes to terms with her ice powers and starts singing the oh so famous Let It Go, Sora, Donald, and Goofy just pop up and are like, whoa, she's so pretty. It does nothing in removing the thought of, wow, I am really playing a game made for kids. If you like Frozen, then I hope you enjoy this, but for everyone else, this does nothing for us. I can't get invested, like, at all in these cutscenes. It has the same problems as before, on top of the fact that the Kingdom Hearts of it all feels shoehorned in. When the crossover appeal of Kingdom Hearts exits the door, so too does everyone else. And like, you meet up with Anna and Olaf and you get stuck doing this stupid minigame where Olaf won't shut the fuck up. This is the point where I truly felt numb to everything Arendelle had to throw at me.
Hey, I'm over this way. I'm over here. Call this cozy or snug? Let me go with snug. I can hear you. You're getting closer.
Okay, Olaf, I get it. I'm coming. Just stop, please. Oh, and we can't forget about Anna's big number. If you ever enjoyed listening to Do You Want to Build a Snowman, get ready for your perception to be shattered because Anna talks over herself while the song and cutscene from the movie play out. At the same time. I'm not even kidding. This happens. I'm not going to play it for you because I really don't need the Disney police on me right now, but trust me, this is real. It's terrible. I never expected to have sound balancing this bad in a Kingdom Hearts game. Ironic it's the first HD one too. And of course, we get our mandatory organization appearance here in the form of Larxene. I don't think I can ignore this any longer. Organization 13 have no reason to be in this story, like at all. Their only purpose is to remind you that, hey, these are characters from the other games. Pay attention. You want to remember these people exist. It's a tad arbitrary. Larxene is the biggest example of this. Even the game doesn't know why she's here.
Excuse me, I'm right here.
Just the words Organization 13 have this uneasy feeling to them. You didn't always know what their intentions were at first, so eventually when you did learn them, there was this payoff that came naturally through the buildup. Here, they just show up to make sure Sora either follows the proper events of the world they're in, or to make sure he doesn't mess with what they have planned. And you know, we're on our 4th Disney World now, so I finally have to ask. Larxene, what is the plan here? Can you give me something? Anything to work with here? No? Alrighty then. It feels like the whispers in Final Fantasy VII Remake. Gotta make sure everything goes according to plan. Can't have the timeline unravel or whatever. Sounds like a crazy fanfiction. Again, these moments should be a big deal. Like anytime there was a callback in KHIII, there was this giddiness that was unrivaled in any other series. Like Timeless River, a callback to Steamboat Willie himself. I'm never gonna forget experiencing that for the first time. And if you've been a fan of this series from the beginning, these characters should matter. But because plot armor from other games, Sora doesn't remember any of these people. So anytime they have an interaction, it's like, hey, remember me, Sora? No. Oh, well, you should remember me this time. Probably not. But you should really remember me after all we've been through. Who are you again? Every single time. It's nauseating to say the least. And again, no original Disney villain. You just fight Torgal from Final Fantasy XVI just all heartlessified or something. It feels a little reductive, I cannot deny. If you enjoy this world, more power to you, but this just reaffirms my decision not to watch Frozen. I pretty much got that here, except probably worse. Although, I do think it is rather hilarious that your exclusive party member for this world is Marshmallow. He's just so much bigger than everyone else. I can't help but giggle anytime I look at footage of Arendelle because I'm just running around and this hulking mass is just here prancing about. It feels so out of place. It's not even funny. Oh lord. So Sora, Donald, and Goofy rendezvous with Riku and the King at Master Yensid's tower to update everyone on everything that's happened since they went their separate ways. No new information is shared. All they talk about are things that we already know, and once again we default to roasting Sora so we can eventually get to the part where Master Yensid says,
You need the power of waking, Sora. Do you have it?
For like the 4th time. It really feels like I'm on autopilot here. Every single time anyone talks to Sora, they remind him that he needs the power of waking. Anytime Riku and Mickey show up on screen, we are reminded that yes, they need to go save Aqua. Let me ask you something. What was gained in this cutscene? How did this scene affect the end of the Keyblade War? We just talked about this stuff at the beginning of the game, and I just... Next Disney World. Alright, quick tangent here. Port Royal is no doubt my favorite level in KH2. Actually, it just might be my favorite Disney World in the series. Man, Pirates of the Caribbean 1. What a film. And getting a chance to be in that film was just next level. We're no longer tied to just the animation of Disney. We get to explore their live action counterparts. And what a great first candidate to bring into Kingdom Hearts. You get to hang out with Will Turner and Elizabeth Swann. Jack Sparrow is a party member. You have to fight Barbossa's pirates in the moonlight like how the British did in the movie. It's just so perfect. And man, the battle music's a nice rendition of the famous song us scurvy dogs know oh so well. Dun 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 dun. I think you get it. Sure, not every Disney World has been amazing so far, but come on, there's no way they can find a way to ruin this. Find 300 crabs. Yep, I'm good. Aw, snap. Big Hero 6, baby. Let's go. Yo, look at how good this city looks. This sunset is gorgeous. Man, I can't wait to see what the big city has in store for us.
It tried to crush us.
You can't be fucking serious. A giant heartless boss fight. I mean, I say that, but if I'm being totally real, this is without a doubt the most varied world out of the lot. Plenty of space to move around. The city of San Francisco really is a sight to behold. Like, if I'm going to tear Kingdom Hearts 3 a new one, I have to at least give credit when it's due. I just can't find it in me to hate this world. Heresy, I know. This really is just a minigame world. You go around doing these stupid challenges Hero sets up for you, but I guess the difference here is I don't hate what I'm doing here. I have to engage with the level to a degree. Like, I'd rather not do all this if I can help it, but like, look at me move. I don't know, it's simple fun that I can enjoy. Sora feels really good to move around, and the skyscrapers scattered around the city make for interesting and engaging platform challenges. And man, there's nothing like seeing Sora have the audacity to flex on the Big Hero 6 as he goes on this short montage where he showcases his abilities, in turn showing them new ways to use their own powers. That's all I really wanted. Cute nods like this go a long way with me, especially so in KH3's case. And it also helps that San Francisco doesn't follow the plot of the movie. I really like the Big Hero 6 film myself, but giving us an original plot allows us to focus on what matters in this story. Sora, Donald, and Goofy. It makes it so when Replica Riku shows up, there isn't this massive whiplash where I feel like I have to focus on two separate stories. And the implications they have on the overarching narrative, it's nice. Like, man, this world even has some cool, unique boss fights. Like here against whatever the hell this thing is, you have to go around to unique points and systematically break it down. Cool shit like this should be abundant in Kingdom Hearts 3. And hey, that's not to say that this world doesn't have its fair share of issues. I just find them more minor here when I'm frantically using the entirety of the city as my sandbox to maneuver around and I have to save my Big Hero 6 teammates before they die. And just... See what I mean? It's frantic. It's engaging. Shit, I think I'm actually having fun in Kingdom Hearts 3. It's a damn miracle. We're what, 6 worlds in at this point, and I can finally say I am genuinely enjoying myself. That makes the rest of the game look really bad in comparison, but at this point, I think I'll take anything I can get. So yeah, you go around fighting Heartless or whatever, and Replica Riku is here essentially to see if they can create hearts using data, the exact same thing Sora and the team want to do to bring Roxas back. But it's okay, because we finally have our first original Disney villain. Again, 6 worlds in, we should have been doing this from the beginning, but whatever. Dark Baymax, let's go. Yeah, I guess if there was going to be a Disney villain, it would be relegated to this awful flying minigame. I'm usually more receptive to these Kingdom Hearts side attractions, but here it just feels like a gut punch. Unfortunately, I must retract my previous praise of San Francisco because this is easily the worst boss fight in the game. Arguably any game I've ever played. At least with the giant Heartless fights, they wouldn't last too long because again, Sora is kinda just Superman in this game. Here though, you just attack so slow. Like, seriously? It looks like a beta animation that normally wouldn't make it off the drawing board. This fucking sucks. And once again, nothing of value, like at all, is gained here. 6 worlds in and Sora still hasn't attained the power of waking. What is up with this game's obsession with moving the narrative along in this slow, excruciating pace? It's like Kingdom Hearts 3 doesn't want the Keyblade War to end. Oh no. Okay, that is all the Disney worlds in Kingdom Hearts 3, and as you can already tell, I am not a huge fan. It starts off really strong with Toy Box even though it had some minor issues, but every other world just has something wrong with it that holds it back. I can only overlook so much shite before it starts to drive me up a wall. And let's be real, that isn't what Kingdom Hearts is about. The Disney part matters. It was never stupid. It was never this thing that was added on to make a Final Fantasy game kid-friendly. These stories that most of us grew up with were implemented to enhance the themes present in Kingdom Hearts. You could have gone anywhere, but you didn't. You went to Agrabah, you went to the Colosseum, you went to Halloween Town, these iconic Disney locations, and there was always a reason for it. Sure, yeah, go there for the plot, fine, but I mean you'd go to these places, interact with the story, and it just felt right. I can name so many times where my jaw was on the floor just watching these characters be in the same room together. Like, how do you seamlessly integrate anime boy Sora here and say fucking Tron from Tron? I don't know how you do it, and that's exactly the point. It's this hidden sauce that only Nomura and the rest of the team working on Kingdom Hearts know about. Yet here in Kingdom Hearts 3, that sauce, that feeling is just absent. They say the opposite of love isn't hate, but indifference. And that's honestly how I feel when it comes to the Disney crossover in Kingdom Hearts 3. I'm indifferent. I just don't care about anything that happens. When it's this formulaic, when it feels like nothing's happening, I can't find the energy to get invested. Isn't that crazy? We've finally ascended into new grounds by entering the realm of Pixar, the realm of Marvel even. And yet, when I think of these Disney worlds, the only thought that enters my mind is how they feel like a greatest hits rendition or something. I know that doesn't make much sense right now, but you're gonna want to keep this in mind. Okay, I think we've established enough buildup, we've got enough tension here in the video. I think now we can finally discuss how Kingdom Hearts 3 ends the Keyblade War. As I've no doubt torn the narrative of Kingdom Hearts 3 a new one, you may have become aware that I've discussed the story in a very blunt manner, as in I have at least tried not to assign any blame to any one person. I wish to discuss the art, the themes trying to be conveyed here, and I find assigning blame to any one person to be rather reductive. A lot of people go into the development of a game, as long end credit sequences will no doubt remind us, and we will never know all the gory details that go on behind the scenes in the making of our favorite titles. But as we reach the climax of the Keyblade War, I can no longer ignore the second school of thought in the room. Yes, I am of course talking about Tetsuya Nomura, the original creator of Kingdom Hearts. Of course, Nomura wasn't exactly new to the industry at the time, but it was with Kingdom Hearts where his legendary story really starts, taking on the role as lead director, on top of many other roles. Nomura is a polarizing figure. He doesn't follow the status quo. He isn't isn't interested in just making a quick buck. He's in it for the art. Now, before we get into Nomura specifically in regards to KH3, I want to point to a quote from an interview right around the time the game released. It paints a very telling picture of why things are the way they are. After much thought, I ended up keeping it simple. I believe that Kingdom Hearts 3 is truly completed when the two thoughts, whatever you feel from playing the game, and my thoughts that I've secretly placed in the game, match up together. I hope that everyone playing the game will complete the game for us. I just want you to keep this in mind as we go through the end of the Keyblade War. So after finally finishing up the Disney aspect of it all, we're finally ready to save Aqua. Riku and Mickey have spent the entire game looking for her. Okay. This is supposed to be a really big moment and all, but sorry, I'm just not really feeling it. For those uninformed, Aqua has been stuck in the realm of darkness for 10 years, even before the events of KH1. So again, what's supposed to be this really big return, this reintroduction into the Kingdom Hearts mythos feels flat. The first boss fight I can think of that's not a giant Heartless, and this is what it's like. It's like an endless tournament of rock, paper, scissors. She attacks me for a bit, pause, and then I attack her for a few seconds. It's rather annoying. So you save Aqua, woohoo I guess, and like immediately after you're off saving Ventus? Like what? We can't even take a second to relax? The first 15 hours of the game we literally couldn't achieve any of the overarching objectives assigned to these characters, but now it's like we remembered there was an actual story here and we're speedrunning to the finish. Aqua doesn't even get a second to catch her breath. 10 years in the realm of darkness, people. Don't you want to, you know, get your bearings or nope? Okay then. Well, I guess it isn't so bad. End of the Keyblade War and all that. I guess we can spare some character develop. They did it again in the next scene. Are you freaking kidding me? First, the 30-second reunion with Aqua, now this. This is 100% real. It may sound like I'm losing my mind for no reason, but the amount that happens in this string of scenes is insane. And with this terrible presentation, I would not be surprised if you had no idea what's going on. Similar to Aqua, Ventus finally wakes up. How he wakes up, you ask? Am I gonna say it? Do I really have to say it? Sora finally gets the power of waking. Was the build-up worth it after watching Sora constantly get roasted by his peers the entire game? Nope. Sora attains the power of waking, not by overcoming the struggle he's had this entire game, not by coming to terms with what he's going to have to do. Sora achieves the power of waking by believing in the power that was within him all along. You know what? Fuck it. Sora finally has the power of waking now. The other characters can stop asking about it. Fine. Okay, everything's prepared. Everyone's got their Keyblades ready to go. It's time for the Keyblade War. At this point, this is where the story makes a foolhardy attempt at reconnecting all these stories. Imagine you haven't played KH3 for a second. Just wipe it from your mind. You see this shot of Yen Sid giving orders to everyone, and it hits you. Yo, where the hell have all these people been? After the events at the Land of Departure, it's been made pretty clear that Sora, Donald, and Goofy went to these Disney worlds for literally no reason. Riku and Mickey spent the whole game trying to save Aqua and failed miserably at that. And who invited these bozos? Yeah, throughout the story, you get these gorgeous CG cutscenes of KHIII and Axel training for the Keyblade War. What this really translates to is them sitting around and talking about how much they like their friends. It's mundane as shit. This game has to account for so many characters, people we haven't even gotten to yet, and it's doing such a poor job juggling everyone's roles. Like Riku is the only person who has an established thing to do in the Keyblade War. King Mickey, Aqua, Ven, nah, nothing. They're just here. Well, I guess the game does technically have a way of catching up if you ever feel lost.
Not to worry, folks. To help us out, I've given each of you a gummy phone. They've got summaries of everything that's happened so far. That way, you can read up if you'd like. And if anyone has any questions, we can call each other.
Lord, never in my life have I ever seen a game so confused at telling a story. Okay, off to the Keyblade graveyard. I love how the Guardians of Light and the three Xehanorts just talk casually before the beginning of the fight. Like, does anyone here realize we're about to kill each other? Nah, it's cool. You need anything before we start, Sora? No thanks, I'm good, Xehanort. Like it's a family gathering at the pool or something. This is supposed to be the end of the Keyblade War. Then you go through an endless Heartless fight that feels worse than the one from the mid-game of KH2. I'm not joking. Look at this. It's like the endless wall of nobodies, but without any of the sauce that made that fight special. Then we get, my least favorite cutscene in any video game. The Guardians of Light run into Terra. Naturally, they try to save him because that's just what they do. And of course, Terra does this. Now on the surface, I might sound like a bit of an asshole, but I can't shake this feeling that this is something they should already fucking know! Not only because this has been established since like 2010, but because literally this information was conveyed to us right before this battle started. They literally go out of their way to mention Terranort, and it's like they instantly forgot. I'm sorry, but no, I cannot accept this. I can't accept Terranort bodying everyone. How could you expect me to buy this? Terranort lost his final boss status before KH1. In KH2, Sora and Riku were reflecting an onslaught of lasers like it was no thing. What happened? Why does it take Donald using the ultimate magic spell in Final Fantasy to take down this guy? Seriously? It's just fucking Terranort. What next? A Heartless tornado? Jeez. So then we get to the part of the ending where the game needs to remind you that, yes, this is indeed a Disney IP. Sora uses the power of waking to retrieve the heart of his friends that were taken by the Heartless tornado. You just go to the same Disney worlds, beat the same exact Heartless over and over and over, until eventually Sora saves everyone's hearts, save for KHIII's. Until it's revealed it was actually KHIIII who saved Sora's heart in the end. Yippee! Okay, I don't think I can ignore it any longer. We have to talk about the big three, as it were, of Kingdom Hearts. Sora, Riku, and of course, KHIIII. When you met these three in Kingdom Hearts 1, immediately you knew that these guys were not only best friends, but they shared a bond so deep it could extend past any barrier or any trauma, as evidenced by the events of the story. It didn't matter that KHIIII wanted to leave Riku behind in the beginning. It didn't matter when Riku stole the Keyblade from Sora. In the end, when it mattered most, these characters always stuck by one another. Sora sacrificed himself to release KHIII's heart. Riku stayed behind in the realm of darkness so they could close Kingdom Hearts. And KHIIII went back to the Destiny Islands to wait for not just one, but both of her friends. And these relationships would only expand in the sequel. In Kingdom Hearts 2, for the most part, these guys aren't together much. But similar to his reunion with Donald and Goofy, when Sora meets up with KHIIII and Riku for the first time in a few years, that payoff turns into a genuine emotional reaction. Fuck, having Sora realize who Riku is even though he's in Ansem's body? This is where the supposed kids games felt real. This is where the themes perfectly aligned for the player so they could have that massive, oh my god moment the game had been building up to. And that's when it hits you. What have we been building up to in Kingdom Hearts 3? The end of the Keyblade saga? What does that even mean? There are no actual stakes in this narrative. The Keyblade War isn't even this tangible thing. And without that substance, without that reason to see all this through, I cannot attach myself to these characters like I used to. In KH1, we were explicitly saving KHIIII. Sure, we made some stops around a few Disney worlds, but the goal was always to save KHIIII after her heart had gotten trapped in Sora's. In Kingdom Hearts 2, the goal isn't made explicitly clear out the gate, but eventually, the story naturally leads us back to Riku. And it's here when you realize just how much of a struggle he's gone through since he sacrificed himself in KH1. Who are we saving in Kingdom Hearts 3? I'm not trying to reduce this narrative down to a simple hero versus villain story, really, but that's kinda what it feels like. Xehanort is doing the evil, dangerous thing, and we have to go and stop him because only we can. The other characters added on top are just for window dressing. They don't actually have an effect on the plot, and I can't help but feel like we missed a massive opportunity. We saved KHIII KHIII first, then Riku second. Who is noticeably absent here, I wonder? I don't know. Fucking Sora! This entire time he's been told he doesn't have the power of waking. Sure, some of his pals chime in with an annoying, "You can do it, Sora, you just gotta believe, yuck." But nobody actually does anything to help him. This was the game where Sora needed to be saved. And I get that it sounds kind of dramatic to say that, but think of what's led us here. I can't help but shake this feeling that Sora didn't want the Keyblade War to end. He didn't want to stop going to see these Disney worlds. He didn't want to stop visiting his old friends or making new ones. He wanted things to remain the same. I don't know if you've noticed, but Sora's presence in these Disney worlds this time around is just awful. What was once this heartfelt tale of a naive boy who had to face the harsh realities of the world and adapt so he can save his friends has turned into a guy that, I'm not joking, wants to be a pirate, thinks it's cool to be a monster, walks around and smells the roses. What? When Sora would visit these Disney worlds, he was excited, sure. I mean, who wouldn't be? But again, the overarching goal of, say, saving KHIII or looking for Riku always took precedent. Sora never let the moment of being in these iconic locations get the best of him, most of the time. But because he doesn't have anything to do except look for the power of waking, something that isn't even this defined thing, it ends up feeling like a greatest hits rendition of Kingdom Hearts than the conclusion we were promised. It's like Sora has never traveled to any of these types of worlds before. Like, why is he so fascinated with Jack Sparrow this time around? In KH2, he could barely trust the guy. Now, it's the most one-sided relationship ever. It makes Sora look like an idiot, and he was never like this in the old games. I get it. Sora is a young, free, kindred spirit who loves his friends. They are the most important thing to him. But shit, I have to once again go back to my friends are my power, because I find it insane how we were able to achieve this without spelling it out for the player back in 2002. When Sora needed to get serious, he got fucking serious. On a dime, this would go from the kiddie Disney game you were playing to a fantastic epic about light and darkness. Like shit, man, you fight fucking Cloud in Kingdom Hearts 1. There is nothing remotely as hype in Kingdom Hearts 3. I want to remind you that Sora has to go toe-to-toe with a man who has plotted, schemed, fucking time travel to see his desires through. Like, if this wasn't a video game with scripted segments, who thinks Sora is actually taking on a man who's horcruxed himself 13 times? The protagonist of any game like this often gets overlooked in many of these retrospectives, but when it comes to Sora, the damage is all that more crippling. Something that is said in any video regarding a beloved series is how if you really want to get into a series, you have to kinda hang your hat on everything these characters say. And normally, I kinda scoff at the notion of even doing this, but for Kingdom Hearts, it's different. Having been a fan of this series since day one, I find it hard not to hang on everything these characters say. I mean, how could I? This story has been building for nearly 20 years. The amount of change that can happen in that time doesn't even need to be quantified. And to see it turn out like this? Disappointment, heartbreak aren't even the right words to convey my dislike for it. Never in my life have I wanted a video game to turn out good. I followed every little tidbit of information that came out, and to see arguably my favorite main character in any piece of media ever end up like this, it's a pain I can't even begin to describe. Everyone tends to focus on KHIII or maybe the BBS cast or the Days trio, but for me, it's Sora that exemplifies all the problems with the writing in Kingdom Hearts 3. One last time, shit like this is the reason people look at Kingdom Hearts as nothing more than a series designed to please children. I'm not gonna sit here and act like he's the worst character ever written or anything, but it hits harder when you spend all this time growing alongside them that even the moments I do enjoy just won't land the same. The damage has already been done, I'm afraid. That theme of growing up, the allegory of light and darkness, is completely shattered because Sora just doesn't want to grow up in this game. Whether it be because he doesn't know how, or if he simply doesn't want to, the point still stands. I'm not saying make Kingdom Hearts this dark commentary on the real world. All I'm asking is to keep things consistent. You had plenty of time to think about it after all, Nomura. I'm really not trying to be an asshole, but damn.
Is it some sort of joke?
So now that we've established how Kingdom Hearts 3 annihilates our main hero, let's see how the story butchers the rest of the characters. So after all that, we have these truly garbage boss fights against the organization members. Like, they've been showing up, but honestly, they never explain what their plans are. I actually think Xehanort sent these bozos after Sora and the gang for no reason. To get ready for the making of the Keyblade again? To prep for Sora and the gang to come? Haven't you been doing that for like this entire storyline? Since even before the events of Kingdom Hearts 1? I got nothing here. These fights really are just here so we can tack on a few other KH fan favorite characters before the final siege on Xehanort. And like, in a vacuum, I really like moments like this. Finally, after 9 years since this plot point was revealed, Terra beats the ever-loving Xehanort out of his body and is reunited with Aqua and Ven. No matter how poorly it's presented, it feels earned. It feels justified. But then I remember that after this, these characters just won't look at each other anymore, and wham! The immersion is suddenly gone. Anytime this game builds up to this big moment, it swipes the rug right from under you. It's like it's afraid of giving you the big moment you'd want. Again, raw, untapped potential just sitting right there. I love how the grand return of Roxas is like this Marvel Easter egg reveal moment. Oh, here it comes, here it comes. Superhero landing incoming.
Hands off, my friends.
Wow, so cool. So hip and anime. I hate it. And like these boss fights, they're just the exact same ones from the old game except KH3ified like everything else. So if it wasn't apparent, no, I don't like them. They're more boring. They have the exact same problems as every other fight. And again, it feels like it's just here to fill out a quota. But alright, let's get this finished off. After defeating every single organization member, including the other 3 main forms of Xehanort, the real Xehanort begins the process of opening Kingdom Hearts and does this to KHIII. What's there even to say? Now it's been made apparent what we're doing. This game was never about saving Sora, never about ending the Keyblade War. It was to put the spotlight on KHIII again, like it's Kingdom Hearts 1. Isn't it a coincidence that we got a KHIII exclusive game almost immediately after KH3 titled Melody of Memory? Once again, completely diminishing what her character used to stand for. KHIII was never this love interest or this girl that was untouchable. All she simply was Sora's light, his reason for fighting the good fight. Their relationship may have always focused on the theme of love, but it wasn't this romantic, annoying thing. But putting the spotlight on her just ruins everything she stood for. She wasn't ever the damsel in distress. She could take care of herself. The reason she became so beloved is because she stood out. She could stand toe-to-toe with Sora. She mattered, but there's this stink attached to her character now because anytime I see her going forward, I'm just always going to think she's going to get kidnapped or something. Again, immersion shattering. This is what happens. Luna gets ruined in Final Fantasy 15 and 3 years later the same thing happens to KHIII. I have nothing else to add. Every character suffers nearly the same fate. Going over all of them would be a waste of both my time and yours. Let's wrap this up. Scala ad Caelum, the homeworld of the master himself, and the location of that scene with Ericus and Xehanort that I like so much. Whoa, look at how pretty this looks. Man, what a fitting conclusion for the Keyblade War.
Oh, thanks!
Alright, okay man, whatever dude, I don't care. Eventually, you do come up against the real Xehanort, finally, and listen, this fight sucks. It isn't anything better than any of the other organization fights, but hey, I can at least appreciate the way this spectacle is fondling my eyes. Again, mechanically nothing crazy, but like Sora versus Xehanort with a fully fledged Keyblade, on top of this mantle of light and darkness while Kingdom Hearts is watching to see who's going to come out the victor, just this ever-looming foreboding presence to remind you what's at stake. The metaphor is clear. You're not fighting for the fate of the Heart Moon. You're fighting for the fate of all hearts everywhere. It looks so cool. The game needed so much more of this. The final fight is the only one to have the weight of this game's title. This might sound shocking considering I've really just unloaded all my disdain for Kingdom Hearts 3 in this video, but hey, I just like to give credit where it's due. If you think I'm being too kind, oh, don't you worry, because immediately after this, the assassination of this entire saga finally occurs. After Xehanort is defeated, he goes on this exhausting monologue on how his entire reason for essentially ruining every single character's lives was because he deemed that there was too much light in the world. And with the power of Kingdom Hearts, he would have been able to, I guess, reset the world or something? Basically, we are supposed to believe that Xehanort suddenly aligns with Mickey from Kingdom Hearts 2 on there needing to be both a balance of light and dark for the world to coexist. I'm not kidding. Through some sort of hysteria, I imagine, Xehanort believes that the light has overtaken the darkness, and all he was doing was adding a little darkness to balance the scales. Even though in KH1 he wanted to engulf the world in darkness for that reason alone, and in KH2 Xemnas wanted to open Kingdom Hearts just to feel something. Yeah, none of this makes sense. If you ever needed an example of how not to write the ending of your villain story in a long-ass story, look no further than Master Xehanort himself. I can't believe that the man who once stood shoulder to shoulder with Sephiroth as one of the most evil, conniving bad guys out there has been reduced to this. Christ. He doesn't hand Sora the Keyblade because he thinks he's worthy. He just doesn't know what else to do with the damn thing. He's out of options. And the worst part of it all, he didn't learn his lesson. If we are to believe that all he seeked was balance, then this little Ericus cameo means fuck all. Why would Xehanort need a reminder of how powerful light is if he wanted balance? Xehanort was the bad guy. He was the guy that made Aqua suffer in the realm of darkness for 10 years. He sealed Ventus's heart away. He fucked Riku's life up so badly. He did all these terrible things. No, you aren't allowed the redemption story, Xehanort. You have not earned the right to have a happy ending. Kingdom Hearts 3 fundamentally just doesn't understand why this franchise is so special. If anything, it's a cheap imitation of what came before, and that's when it hit me. What I believe Nomura and the rest of the team wanted to achieve with Kingdom Hearts 3 is simple. This wasn't supposed to be the end of the Keyblade saga. This was meant to evoke the same feelings that the series focused on back in Kingdom Hearts 1. It hit me that some people who see KH3 in 2019 aren't going to go back and play the whole series. Shit, just the first 2 games to even catch up. And I guess that's fair. These games have always done a good job of recapping previous events for the player after all. Your average person isn't gonna care about Kingdom Hearts 358 days over 2 or whatever. No, they care about the big boys, the main stuff if you will. And if you had any sort of human emotion back in the day, seeing stuff like this, yeah, I wouldn't blame you if you didn't want to wait. And that's exactly where the problem lies. This game just isn't made for me or for anyone who followed and cared about this overarching narrative and the themes present within it. This was made so a brand new generation of kids could fall in love with Kingdom Hearts just like I did when the series began. And sure, I've been really harsh on this game for a variety of reasons, but if I'm being honest, this title doesn't share the same legacy as, say, Final Fantasy XV. I don't think that game has any redeeming qualities past its music and art direction, and I'm certain most people would agree with me. With Kingdom Hearts 3, I guess if I'm putting myself in the mindset of a 12-year-old kid who's never played an action RPG before, I guess they would enjoy it? Maybe? But at that point, I'm doing all these mental gymnastics to justify enjoying a bad game. So is it even worth it at that point? I've tried my best to avoid going at any one person in this video because it doesn't take an Einstein to know that it is the work of many that contribute to the success or failure to any game's story, especially in this instance when it's fallen so hard on its face. But I can't ignore it any longer. I once again bring up the quote from Tetsuya Nomura regarding the secret thoughts he placed in the game. Everyone's already exercised their voice when it comes to this quote, and now it's my turn. I honestly, truly, 1000% believe that Tetsuya Nomura didn't want to work on Kingdom Hearts 3. At least, not when he did. He wanted to make Final Fantasy Versus 13. That was the game he desired to work on. The project that got his heart going. After working as the director on 3 straight Kingdom Hearts titles, his eyes were set elsewhere. During this time, Nomura wouldn't just be working on Kingdom Hearts, but he'd also work on a bunch of different Final Fantasy Fantasy projects. Advent Children, Dirge of Cerberus, Final Fantasy X-2. Oh yeah, Nomura, whether it was leading or just helping out, was involved in all these projects. That itch, that craze that comes with Final Fantasy must have overwhelmed Nomura. The possibilities must have seemed endless. But again, shit happens. Kingdom Hearts 2 took this series aimed at entertaining children into the mainstream. Kingdom Hearts became cool. It became this thing everyone needed to hop on. And let's be real, shout out to everyone involved of course, but this was Nomura's coming out party. The game that gave him this legendary cult status. Kingdom Hearts 1 was good, but Kingdom Hearts 2 was amazing. The movement couldn't be stopped. And sure, Nomura had plenty of ideas, but I think the build up to Kingdom Hearts 3 got to him. I think for the first time ever, Nomura ran out of ideas. Kingdom Hearts 3 isn't the story that challenges your perception of what these characters could be, or challenges your perception of the worlds of Disney. It's a story about a guy with friends, a bad guy who wants balance, and so many awful references to past games. It really does feel like a greatest hits rendition of Kingdom Hearts, and not the finale I waited so long for. Yeah, maybe it is just a personal thing. Maybe I should grow up and accept the fact that Kingdom Hearts is made for kids. No! It was never about that. I never had to justify why I liked Kingdom Hearts before. It was just this cool action game that had Disney and Final Fantasy mixed together. And what elevated it into this cult status series is when the marriage of this collaboration came together to create truly breathtaking moments. I'll never forget seeing Sephiroth and Cloud stand off in Kingdom Hearts 2. This moment here allowed me to have that moment I was robbed of only a few years prior. I finally got to play Final Fantasy VII in a way. Real full circle moment stuff. I'll never forget seeing Squall, Leon in Kingdom Hearts 1. Man, the goosebumps I felt when he pulled the gunblade out will never be topped, let me tell you. This is why it was special, why it mattered. But Kingdom Hearts 3 literally screams, fine, you want the end of your Keyblade War? You want your Roxas and your Ventus? Here, take it. There you go. You could stop asking for it now. You have your Kingdom Hearts 3, just leave me alone. It wasn't supposed to go like this. And hey, I'm just making assumptions here. Don't take what I say at face value. Maybe these secret thoughts Nomura implied are related to things that are totally different to what I'm saying. But I think the point still stands. Was the pressure too much? Did Nomura have too many ideas that he couldn't fit into the game? These are the questions that come to mind whenever I think of Kingdom Hearts 3. Not what it represents, not what the final product is, just simply the title itself. It isn't even really a game anymore. It's a topic of discussion, a never-ending debate, a video format in and of itself. The conversation surrounding Kingdom Hearts 3 has gotten so big, it's become this thing that is in a way almost taboo to talk about. People who love this game really love this game, and you won't see them argue for anything harder than Kingdom Hearts 3. On the flip side, people who hate this game hate it more than like everything. It's not just a bad game, it's a sin, a stain on the industry as a whole. I think both of these views are a little extreme to be frank, but there is a method to both madnesses. On one hand, Kingdom Hearts has never looked this good. It sets a very good standard for the future, and with technology only getting better, the prospects of playing a film in real time are only enhanced. But then one could argue that's just all fluff anyways. The stuff that matters, the narrative, these characters, the gameplay, have never been worse. And if this trajectory continues, this insistent need on reminding everyone that yes, Sora is indeed a guy with friends, then the reputation of Kingdom Hearts will no doubt continue to suffer. In many ways, Kingdom Hearts 3 can be looked at as a win for the series. It's the best selling by a decent margin after all, and to some, that's enough. But for me, Kingdom Hearts 3 is an L, and an L that is so much bigger than the surface suggests. This is an L for the series, sure, but more damning, this is an L for Tetsuya Nomura. The fact that every video creator has had to mention him when talking about this game, even to go so far as to come up with a phrase based on Nomura's name, should tell you everything. If a game was just bad, we'd talk about it and move on. But when you put yourself out there, stamping the seal of approval in all your games during its marketing run like Nomura does, it makes the low moments hit that much more. As someone who followed every little scrap of information for Kingdom Hearts 3 during its pre-release, I can't shake that quote about the thoughts he put into the game. The build-up, the story I created in my head was just too much for me. At one point, I really thought I was going insane waiting for this game, and playing it for the first time, I felt nothing. I couldn't even bring myself to finish Kingdom Hearts 3. It isn't until the making of this video where I rolled credits on Kingdom Hearts 3. 5 years after its initial release where it finally came to me. It finally dawned on me why this game feels as lackluster as it does. I want to point a bit of attention to the lyrics of the main theme song of Kingdom Hearts 3. Face My Fears, sang by Hikaru Utada, featuring Skrillex. I can't play it for you right now because of the Disney police, but just focus in on these key lyrics right here. Lose, soon have nothing to. Space, this is what I choose. A mile, could you walk in my shoes? All your life. When I hear these words while listening to one of the best songs this series has to offer, I don't think it's Sora or Riku talking. I think it's Nomura himself. Now, I couldn't find anything directly referencing this, so again, don't quote me on this, but I can't shake this feeling of Nomura feeling trapped by the legacy of what came before. I think when it came time to draft the conclusion of the Keyblade saga, Nomura was lost. He had no idea how to bring it to an end. And maybe, just maybe, he didn't want it to end. Final Fantasy is a series known for constantly adapting its stories, themes, and gameplay forward as generations of technology pass. One numbered Final Fantasy game isn't going to look like the next, but Kingdom Hearts has had this one uniform story to follow since day one. It spanned nearly 2 decades. Of course, the idea of ending something as large as this must have been daunting. Look at Star Wars. That franchise is so scared for the story to end that instead of trying new things, it just keeps the same shitty storyline going for like ever. Both owned by Disney, by the way. In an ironic way, Kingdom Hearts 3 refuses to face its fear. It's terrified at the prospect of seeing fans dive out when the story finally ends, to the point where it just doesn't. It comes to an abrupt halt. No satisfying conclusions to be seen anywhere. Everyone's just here on the beach having fun. Oh my god, look at what we did. We're amazing. Yippee. But hey, I'm just a guy who had a little expectation after waiting a really long time for a video game. What do I know, right? And at the very least, if this is as bad as things are gonna get, I can at least take solace in the fact that I survived the wait and I can finally put this series to rest. Or can I?
Hey! Is anyone out there?
Hey. Hey.
In the years following Kingdom Hearts 3's release, the series has not slowed down in the slightest. In early 2022, fans were treated to a tease of the newest story Kingdom Hearts is aiming to tackle, and this doesn't look like Kingdom Hearts at all. If you were like me, all confused watching this back when it first revealed, trust me, there is context that has led us here. Allow me to elaborate. So to save KHIII's heart, Sora in essence uses the power of waking to trade his place with KHIII's. So when he fades away, I'm not trying to make anyone cry, but Sora actually dies. That was the ultimate price he needed to pay, the action he needed to take to grow up, for lack of a better analogy. Again, Kingdom Hearts for kids. No one can really die, of course. So how does Sora ending up like this lead to this, you may ask? I want to rewind us all the way back to Toy Box for a second. Sure, I introduced the world with the KH3 stuff, but there is a lot more going on here than the surface suggests. When you enter Toy Box for the first time, you aren't greeted with Sora or any of the other characters you'd come to expect. No, you get this sick-ass cutscene of some guy and his friends blasting away at these giant mechs, and it's like so fucking cool for no reason either. Fast forward to the end of the Remind DLC, and you come face to face with Yozora, the protagonist of the fantasy game Verum Rex. Well, isn't that funny? Sora translated to English means sky, and Yozora translated means night sky. The parallel isn't even subtle at this point. Let's freeze the shot right here for a second. Does this at all look familiar? Close your eyes, think real hard. Don't these shots of peak anime action remind you of something? Let me just clean my glasses here and... oh, Final Fantasy vs 13. Of course, it couldn't be a coincidence. I have to respect Nomura essentially saying, well, if they won't let me make Versus 13, I'll just put Versus 13 into their precious Kingdom Hearts. They won't know what hit them. But holy shit, Nomura really is versus 13ifying Kingdom Hearts. Now normally I'd sit here, lambast the artist even further for trying to shoehorn his own ideas into a narrative that honestly really doesn't need it. But I can't deny, this versus 13 project thing is so fascinating. To this day, creators are still talking about the things that they were going to implement into this game. Again, I don't say this lightly. It could have been the best one. It wasn't supposed to be a spin-off. It was supposed to be a new Final Fantasy, a new mainstream, the Final Fantasy Versus franchise. Man, it has a killer ring to it, doesn't it? So instead of talking about the implications as a whole that the Versus 13 of it all has on Kingdom Hearts, I'd rather take a few minutes to discuss if the possibility of adding more to the crossover is even possible. Versus 13 wasn't this half-baked concept. It was a fully realized thing, only canceled due to the scale of other, and I guess more pressing projects at the time. Had things worked out for everyone, Kingdom Hearts 3 might look totally different from the game we have now. Before we get started, it would be quite rude of me not to thank the person who made this part of the video possible. Shout out to Noav Snow for sending pretty much any piece of information on Final Fantasy Versus 13. I really appreciate the support, and I hope I can do this weird little project of ours justice. So when Sora meets Yozora in Kingdom Hearts 3, nothing of substance is gained. I honestly believe this acts as nothing more than the secret ending these games are accustomed to having. I didn't read too much into it, until after beating Yozora in his secret boss fight where he says,
I guess that my powers aren't needed yet.
This is where Pandora's box was opened. Not needed yet. Odd choice of words, methinks. Now, let's look at the original concept of Final Fantasy Versus 13. It was advertised as a dark and sad story, which aimed to show how heavy and painful the burden, the characters' paths, and the little happy moments we overlook could be in a video game. This game was supposed to be miserable, dealing with constant loss, and presented in this mundane, unsafe manner. As Nomura put it himself, the desire was to make a Final Fantasy game that had not been seen before. By this point, Final Fantasy had flirted with the idea of going in this miserable direction, but Nomura wanted to lean into it. He wanted you to know this game was fucking sad. Contrast that with his quotes on wanting to change Final Fantasy back in 2020, as well as the secret thoughts he put in Kingdom Hearts 3, and the picture becomes way clearer. Yeah, Versus 13 ain't going anywhere anytime soon, and if you don't believe me, just look at Quadratum. Kinda looks like Shibuya to me from where I'm sitting, and honestly, this isn't out of the realm of possibility. Yozora already fit in so well in his little cameo in Kingdom Hearts 3, and Nomura even said the reason why this original character's name is Noctis was because Nomura wanted him to contrast the one that started it all. It makes sense, right? Sora is his original character he got to put in his own original story. This Sora guy gave Nomura his big break after all. He was the Sky in his life. Fast forward to roughly 2006, and Nomura has the desire to innovate once again, this time taking the opposite approach from before, focusing on the negative emotions us humans harbor. And you have Noctis, the night sky counterpart to Sora. As the original designer responsible for iconic characters like Cloud Strife, the way Nomura talks about Noctis is honestly a little weird, not gonna lie. This wasn't just a character. Noctis was like Nomura's son, the one that acted out and caused trouble, the one you had to work hard on to see succeed. Tabata might have been the hack that saw Noctis' story through in Final Fantasy XV, but in reality, Noctis was Nomura's boy, his story to share with us. Seeing these two together must have been a dream for Nomura. This is what it had built up to for him. This was the other secret thought in the room. Sure, you might not have wanted to finish the Keyblade War, but this? Yeah, this I can roll with. And to answer the question if this could work, I mean, I think so. I have no idea exactly how we'd get there, but this isn't something that feels tacked on. It feels like there's intent behind it. There's a reason these characters are here, why Yozora's power isn't needed yet. Could Yozora and whoever this chick is replace Donald and Goofy as Sora's companions on this journey? Could we see Ignis, Gladio, and Prompto acting like Squall's team does? Will we finally get Nomura's vision for Final Fantasy Versus 13? I don't know. Seems unlikely, but the possibility isn't zero, and you know what? That's enough for me. When it comes to Kingdom Hearts 3, however, I think I've said my piece. I'm really excited for Kingdom Hearts 4, even if I have to wait another 13 years for it, but it can't take away the utter disgust I have in my mouth for Kingdom Hearts 3. It's not the worst game I've ever played, not by a long shot, but boy is it the one that hurts the most. This series, these characters, this world, all of it means so much to me that even talking about it for this long just can't do it justice. There is nothing like Kingdom Hearts. Try as hard as you want, you will never find a franchise that is this emotional, that forces you to forge not only an attachment to its stories, but a bond to them, which is what makes it so interesting, so stimulating, and so difficult to discuss. I started this video off by telling you that I was afraid of talking about Kingdom Hearts 3, not because of the hate I might get, but because I wanted to make sure I was saying what was true to me. It's ironic then that it was I who was able to come to terms with my feelings and face my fear, while Tatsuya Nomura in Kingdom Hearts 3 didn't.
The world needs someone to stand up and lead. Someone strong, to stop the weak from polluting the world with their endless darkness. Someone to dictate their destiny.
If so, you're not that person, Xehanort.
Now, Sora, darkness and light's final clash.
My friends are my power!
You require motivation. Now, the Keyblade War will finally reach its conclusion.
You might be able to use a couple of more half points.
I've been having these weird thoughts lately. Like, is any of this for real or not?